In about 30 seconds when we're ready to go, but you ladies can go ahead and chat if you would like.
So what are you working on right now, Jill? Something new?
The last book in the current series, or not series, but contract, the Syrophoenician woman. So, yeah, she's a challenge.
Do you think like the big challenges turn out the best sometimes though?
I don't know. Maybe some people might think so. I don't. I always think they're the worst book ever, and it's going to sink everything. So
I do too. Well, what did you think of Prophetess? Because I absolutely love that book.
that was one of my hardest ever. I turned that in early and then pulled it back, and I spent 3 hours on the phone with a writer. She's now in Oregon. She's not even a Christian, but she's a biblical fiction writer, and she helped me brainstorm what was wrong with it, and then I fixed it while my husband made Christmas cookies. And there you have it. It turned out to actually be a story, but I thought, I don't like this ending. I don't like
To me, it was wonderful and really kind of brought her alive. And then I went back and read, just like you want readers to do, went back and read the biblical account. So
yeah, for sure.
So all right.
Are we live or not live?
We're live. We are live, and we're plugged into Biblical Fiction Aficionados. Thank you so much for joining us. If you're tuning in, we're happy to welcome Jill Eileen Smith and her book, Dawn of Grace. Few housekeeping. We do have a giveaway. Jill's publisher has authorized us to give away a couple of paperbacks that will be for U.S. addresses only, but we will leave the comments open through the weekend. And make sure you are getting a comment in. Every comment will be a chance to win. So we're excited about that. And yeah, so be sure you're commenting. If you're watching us now, go ahead and tell us where you're coming in from, and we'll get right into it. All right. Dana, you want to take us away with the bio or the blurb for Dawn of Grace?
Sure. So she's been pulled up from the depths of despair, but what happens when the hope she has found slips from her grasp? From her earliest days, Mary Magdalene has known fear and loss at a level so deep she has no hope of surfacing. Bound to the demons within her and incapable of freeing herself, Mary walks in shadow until one day she encounters the healer and is never the same.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Congratulations on your newest release.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, so let me introduce you to Jill, as if you wouldn't know who Jill Eileen Smith is. She's kind of one of the forerunners of the biblical fiction, so I'm sure everybody's heard about you. Jill Eileen Smith is best-selling and award-winning author of many biblical novels, including her first series, The Wives of King David, her newest release, Dawn of Grace, Mary Magdalene's Story, released in February 2025. And it's actually the Biblical Fiction Aficionados book club selection for May. So welcome, book club members. We're glad you're here. After 20 years of closed doors, she's published 24 books, fiction and nonfiction. She loves Jesus and his word and all things related to learning more about the women who God has immortalized there. While she loves writing and researching, she's willingly interrupted by her West Coast grandchildren and adorable grandchildren. Traveling to Israel was the highlight of her life, but traveling west is her new favorite place to visit. When she's not writing, she can be found reading stories that take her away, playing too many games and puzzles on her phone. Same, call it downtime, or snuggling her lovable, mischievous cats, Cody and Kaylee.
Mm-hmm.
Favorite verse, Colossians 4:2, devote yourselves to prayer, being watchful and thankful. Jill has been married to the love of her life for nearly 48 years and counting, lives in a quiet neighborhood in Southeast Michigan. Thanks so much.
It's 48 years now.
It is 48 years now?
We just celebrated our anniversary. So
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank
That's
you.
fantastic. Welcome to
Well,
the
shall we
show. We're
jump
glad
right
you're
into
here.
the interview? First of all, since you mentioned Michigan, tell us a little bit about where you live in Michigan. Also, since you mentioned you like visiting the West, Naomi and I both live in Arizona, and we wonder if you've ever visited our state. So jump off from there.
All righty. Well, I it's Southeast Michigan is where we've always lived, but although I was born in Detroit, and my husband lived in Detroit when he was a kid, but we moved from one county to another 3 years ago, so we're now a little more west, but it's still southeast. And now instead of living in a suburban, very close houses close together, not like shoeboxes, but they were just typical neighborhoods that where we raised our kids. But now we live in more rural area and love it. And so we've been here a little over 3 years, and just are grateful that God opened this door and put us here because it's been really, really great for us. As for Arizona, yes, I've been to the Grand Canyon. Years ago, let's see. Oh my goodness, how long? I cannot do the math. A long time ago, when our kids were still home, we took a trip to a lot of the national parks, did like a big circle drive from Michigan and through. We did Grand Canyon, but we did like Yellowstone and Glacier and Grand Tetons, and then up through California and down, the whole gamut. Yeah. It was a great 3-week trip. And yeah, the Grand Canyon was part of it. But I have not been to like cities in Arizona to like meet friends that live there, because I do have friends there, but I haven't been for that.
Well, if you come by again, be sure and stop by and see us. Now, Naomi's kind of in a really rural area near Globe. It's a little tiny.
It's Southeast Mountains, an old current mining town, actually. So it's a small town feel. I really love it. It's got better weather than Dana.
Yeah, for sure. But I do have a swimming pool, so that makes up for it.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm in Glendale, which is west of Phoenix, so pretty much the same weather. Yeah.
Yeah, if it gets 90, I am dying. And my husband loves it hot, but I'm like, turn on the air conditioning if it's past 80. So
yeah,
I like it in the low 70s, mid 70s, or 60s even. It's just better sleeping and just nicer. But you like to go outside without a jacket, so that's nice. Michigan gets the gamut, though. You go from everything from really snowy day, like this week, we're having 80s to 60s, like a 20-degree drop in a day. And we're like, what?
What is this craziness?
It's crazy. Yeah.
Hello, Demi. So glad you made it.
She's from California. She says hottish.
Yeah. I have a lot of dear family there. So.
Well, I'm going to ask you the question first. That probably is the most obnoxious question of all, but please forgive me in advance. Of all the books you've written, is there a certain character that stands out for you, or a favorite character?
Do I have a favorite child or grandchild? No.
There's not one that you kind of relate to better, like this is my person type of.
Yeah, well, you don't want to play favorites. I learned that from my mother. You don't. And honestly, I would have hated to feel like someone else was the favorite or I was the favorite and the others weren't. I like people treated as equally as I can, but my characters, on the other hand, I probably spent the most time with McCall, because she was the one I rewrote her story a gazillion times before it ever sold, because that was my breakout novel. It was the one that at least garnered the attention of Ravel finally after 20 years of trying. So I spent a lot of time with her.
Awesome.
Okay, McCall. And I was like seeing that like McCall and trying to figure out the title. And then you would have told me, McCall.
That's Saul's daughter, right?
Yes, Saul's daughter. Honestly, I used to call her Michael. And when you listen to the YouVersion app, anything that has her name, they call her Michael. I'm like, no, it's Michelle. You're supposed to roll the back of your tongue. You know, I did not know how to pronounce it. So, yeah. But my dad was in a nursing home for 3 years, and one of his bedroom mates or whatever, and he wasn't by himself, was Jewish. And his daughter came to visit one day, and I said, I think they were speaking Hebrew. I'm not sure, but I asked her, how do you pronounce this name? And she's the one who told me. So
well, there you go.
I changed my way I pronounce it now.
I love it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So with Dawn of Grace, you kind of took your career from the Old Testament, and now you're living in New Testament land for this prominent woman who followed Jesus. Is there any special challenges to switch into the New Testament, or as you were researching this book?
Well, people know a lot more about the New Testament, so you want your research to be as thorough as you can, because I had to go. I mean, you always switch, right? I mean, with David, I was in 1000 BC. With Abraham and wives, patriarchs, I had to go back another 1,000 years, and then you're doing this flip flop in time where no one really has a lot of definitive research that they can say this or that was true. You don't know for sure, and there was absolutely nobody there to watch Adam and Eve. So, or left from the ark. So those are easier in the terms of research. But when you get to Roman era, there's a lot of history on that, and I can't say I'm perfect at that, or that I incorporated a whole lot of Rome, because I didn't want to really go there. What was hardest for her story, but really just mostly, how do I do this well, was the demon possession. I mean, I have never met a person demon possessed that I know of. So I talked to an author who has. He wrote a short book, and he told me about it, so I read it. Then I watched a movie about it that gave me a lot more insight, plus the biblical accounts of the boy who was demon possessed and others who were demon possessed, and what that looked like to the person. And so I tried to incorporate that in Mary's character at the beginning of the book. Some readers, a few, have had trouble with that because they don't like to go there, and I don't blame them. And I would warn anyone that wants to let their teenage daughter or son read it to read it first if they're worried, just because I mean, I show a little bit more in depth what happens to her physically than scripture does. Scripture gives us a little bit, and I kind of expand that, but I don't go beyond what's true.
Right.
Can happen. And so it was pretty eye-opening. I don't like writing about demon possession, but I think a lot of people today are oppressed, and a lot of people are deceived by the enemy, and he is real, and we need to realize that. And I hope my readers see that Satan wants us to think he doesn't exist, or he's just some like laughable character, because he doesn't want us to know his nefarious intent, and it is to destroy, to steal, kill, and destroy. And that's what he tried to do with Mary. So wasn't easy, but I picked another book. I'm doing the same thing. Only it's different, because it's not from the person's character, it's from her relative. So
well, and did it affect you spiritually too, as you're in the midst of researching that, or did it?
I think the more I learn about how spiritual the world around us is, we don't see the unseen realm. I already studied the unseen realm for Noah's story, for the Ark and the Dove, and even with Adam and Eve, with the spirit world, it's real. God created this vast army of angels far before I don't know how long before he created us in the world. So in that battle, since the enemy, I hate to call him by name, I don't even recognize his name, but because he doesn't deserve that. But anyway, I'm weird, I know, but
No, you're good. I like it.
but I just feel like we need to know how to stand firm against the
Yeah.
evil that's being perpetrated today. And we need to submit to God and humble ourselves and resist him, because he can't touch us. We have the Spirit. If we belong to Jesus, he can't invade us like he did Mary. You know, he can drive us crazy sometimes. And I mean, not in the literal sense, but you know what I mean? We have to rely on the Lord. He is greater, and
I love
he
it.
defeats all that. But her story, I hope, resonates with readers that there is good and evil, and it isn't just some force out there. It's God, who is above all and in control of all and sovereign, and he's not equal to Satan. Jesus and Satan aren't equal by no means. Jesus already defeated Satan, and he's just, but he knows his time is short, and so he's trying hard to make the world worse than it ever was. And
Right.
so
That's so true. And I noticed it a lot in your book. I listened to the audio, and the voices and everything in the audio are definitely frightening, and
I
I
haven't heard
didn't
it.
like it. I'm like, ooh. and then I thought about you. Actually, I thought, oh, poor Jill. I bet this is hard. Because I as an author, I have to go there and think about you writing and how you did. It was great.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, and the audio, the narrator was wonderful too.
Man, I better go listen. I never listen to my own books. I don't reread them once they're in print.
Oh yeah, oh,
No, I
you
can't.
should listen. It's good.
I've read them so many times, I can't go through. I can't do it. And someone will ask me a question 7 or 10 books ago, and I'll go, "Did I write that?"
Did I write that?
Remember sometimes what's in the book, and I go back and go, "Oh, I wrote that. Okay."
Hey, that's pretty good. I like that.
Write standalones, right? Or at least write them close together. But
There's
but the end too. It's like you took the beginning, which was, like I said, frightening, and then you had those end scenes, and it was very balanced, and it was wonderful. And like you said, Jesus is by far the victor, and you showed that. So it was great. I loved listening to the audio.
Good. I'm going to have to listen. Thank you. Because I started to listen to one, and I thought, the person called her Michael. I tried that one. Went, nope, can't listen to this. So,
oh no.
That's hilarious. Well, I want to take the next question just because I went to your website and looked, and I would recommend to everybody listening, go to Jill's website. It is wonderful. She has all this material that you're going to want to look at. And one thing I would mention is her journal. The journal is fantastic. And she talked about her trip to Israel, and she included pictures. So I saw the pictures first, and I was looking through the pictures, and then I went, there's no captions. I don't know what I'm looking at. And then I looked at her journal, and she talked about her trip to Israel, and she had the pictures in there. So it's really a great website, Jill, and I really enjoyed it. And then I just wondered, have you written more talking about the pictures you shared? Because I imagine many of us have longed to visit Israel but haven't made it there.
if you go on the journal page and you scroll down on the right sidebar, the second tab that lets you choose, you pick the category Israel, and then scroll down a little. And I did twice. I redid it like several years later, because we went in 2008. So I think it was 2020 something. I don't know. I revisited Israel. So it says it's a revisit, but I rewrote previous posts so that people could actually find that and read at least what I had put about some of the pictures, but no, I didn't have time to write captions on all of them.
Yeah.
I know what they are because some of them I did initially. On the backs of the pictures, I know what they are, and I've seen them so many times. I know what they are. But yeah, I don't honestly have the time to go through. My husband took 1,300 photos. There's only about 85 some up there.
Yeah.
And I did the journaling. Everything the guide was saying, I'm writing it down while he's doing all the pictures. So I did as much as I could in the sharing. I think I did it for 7 days because that's how many days we were there. But I think I don't remember. It's been too long. But yeah, I just added 2 more galleries. My website was just recently redesigned this January before it came out, because I had a big issue with not being found on search engines. I don't know what happened, and so it needed revamping anyway. And she allowed me to, whenever I want, I can go add picture galleries. So I added one for all the animals that like to visit our yard, or just nature in general, and our cats. I had to put Cody.
That was a nice one. I read the one about the animals that visit your yard too. That was great. So yeah, like I said, everybody, you should go view that because it's really, really interesting.
Thanks.
Okay.
So I heard you also went to the Ark encounter. How can you tell us about that experience and how that helps you plan your novels?
That was very good. I took a lot of photos, obviously, and helped me as I imagined the Ark and writing the story, the Ark and Love. And I used a lot of the things that they said, how they got rid of waste, how they brought in air, how they had water, how they stored food, how, all the different cages. I mean, they went in depth. They were really.
That's so cool.
Yeah. The only thing I would say is if you go and you have any trouble walking, really wear good shoes for walking, because it's a lot. You're going not only the length of the Ark, there's 3 floors, and it's just like going this way up ramps. And my feet don't like a lot of walking on hard surfaces, and it is hard surface. But my problem that day is I was trying out a new orthotic that was really stupid to take on a vacation. So I was kind of miserable at times and had to sit a lot, but it was good. I'm really glad we went. And, I'd go again. The Creation Museum was good too. We did both. So I didn't post any pictures from that though.
That sounds so awesome. That's on my bucket list too.
Well, did you have something, Naomi?
Oh, no, I was just admiring the Creation Museum and the Ark.
Yeah, really, really cool. Especially, it's so huge.
Is that in Kentucky?
I believe so, yeah.
Kentucky.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Dana.
Well, like we were talking about just before we got on the air, we hope there's another book in the works. And can you tell us about it?
Well, the book that I just turned in that's coming out next year is called A Deeper Well. It's about the Samaritan woman. And the cover will be revealed if you get my newsletter, you'll get it first. So sign up for my newsletter. But we're going to work on the cover reveal by June 10th, approximately. As soon as I get it, that's when I can release it. So
how exciting!
Share it. I absolutely love the cover. So
that's such an exciting part of the process.
What?
I say that's an exciting part of the writing process is getting the cover.
It is. It's one of the best because the editing is okay. It's the writing I don't like. It's the first draft that I hate. I don't mind the editing, but the first draft I don't know. I always second guess myself.
Yeah, agreed. I'm on that as well. So I admire the people who have like this idea, and it's just boop, boop, boop. Okay, I'm done. I'm like, what? Who is this? Where do I get your genius?
I know people that have a whole bunch of books in their brain. I gotta still write, and I'm like, I could retire. I don't need to keep going. What would I do next? But then I came up with an idea I feel like could work. So we'll see how that goes here. We're waiting. the finalization on that. So
Very cool.
yeah.
I know Dana has mentioned how amazing your website is already, so I'm going to throw that link up there again. Make sure that you are subscribed to Jill's newsletter so you get first glimpse at the deeper well, which is super
Yes,
exciting. And then that'll be next February or so, or
probably. Yeah.
okay, awesome.
And don't miss the article about the sandhill cranes.
Okay,
Like
tell us. Do you want to take that one, Dana?
No, yeah, there's an article about the sandhill cranes on her website. So do not miss that. It's in the journal.
Sandhill cranes. Okay, I will go over and make sure I'm looking at that. Is that in the?
It's one of the last ones I did in the journal.
Is that guys who come into your yard?
Yeah, they're one of many people. And, yeah, visitors. We have all kinds, and they're hilarious. The cranes, they just had a baby, and they mate for life, and they just had this little teeny baby, and it's like, oh, I want to hold you, and it's growing. Its legs are so long now. I'm like, stop growing. But, the ducks are also hilarious. They are, oh my gosh! I sat here writing one day, and I'm watching the male go this way and the female go this way, and their backs are to each other, and they're like, like they're having a spat. I'm like, then another male comes zipping along toward one male. I'm like, oh my goodness. And sometimes they'll be right by the feeders and they're pecking like alpha males until they decide, oh, look, there's food. Let's eat. And
funny.
They're so funny. The bunnies are cute. We had a whole group of blue jays one day, and then we get a bunch of birds. We get chipmunks. We haven't seen him lately. I hope he's still around, but he was eating my bird seed. He'd climb up the bird feeder and he was eating the bird seed until we put flowers, and now he's not there. But yeah, we had one opossum. What else do we get? Squirrels don't come around. That's all we had at our old house was squirrels, but most. But the other day, I have to tell you this because it was the greatest thing, is I took a walk to our neighborhood pond, which is just around the bend. And on the pond, right near the part where there's little seats you can sit, but I wouldn't dare go that close, was 2 adult swans and their little teeny babies. And there was 7 babies, and 2 were riding on Mama's back.
Oh, cute.
Zoomed in and got the best videos. And I put those pictures, not the video, but the pictures up on my website under the creation. And so, yeah, we get a lot of great visitors. We get really good sunsets. We had the northern lights show up here. We love it here. So
Sounds beautiful.
Heaven on earth, but it's pretty nice. So
yeah. I love it. I love it. So instead of a game today, we would love for everyone, as you're watching in the replay or watching now, to tell us which character you connected with in Dawn of Grace. And then make sure that you're entering, because there are possibilities for paperbacks of Dawn of Grace. So the comments will be open through this weekend, and we will randomly draw for that. So if you haven't read it yet, do not fear. We have options for this. So Jill, are you, I know it's kind of back in favorite ones, but are you able to say who you connected with Dawn of Grace?
You're breaking up a little, Naomi. You want to say that one more time?
It garbled. I didn't hear you.
Like the whole thing.
Yeah, pretty much.
I heard you tell people to put their
comment
is in, but then after that,
that's fair. I'm auditioning for a Peanuts teacher. No, just kidding. I was saying, let us know who you connected with, which character like really resonated with your heart. Both our viewers, but also Jill as well from Dawn of Grace. Who was the one that really you connected with?
Oh, you want me to answer that?
You too, yeah. Yes.
I knew that was one of the questions, but I don't know. I'm sorry.
Spacey. No, you're good. You're good. You're good.
Well, it's Mary's story, right? And I do have other women in the story, but I think I would probably say I related most to Mary, despite the demon possession. Because you can put yourself into a character you can't totally relate with, because you can relate on a certain level of pain. She had emotional pain. Well, don't we all?
Yeah.
At some level, at some point in our life, we are going to have some serious struggles emotionally. And so I think that mental, emotional, spiritual, even difficulties and struggles she went through. And then after she was delivered, the fear factor of being away from Jesus, I inserted that because of some of the way she acted. Like after Jesus was started talking about dying, and then he did, she would never leave his side. She was there at the cross, she was there at the tomb. And some people think that she went back to that tomb 3 times, which is how I wrote it, because of the different ways it's portrayed in scripture. And I just felt like she couldn't leave him. She was desperate for him. She wasn't even afraid of the angels like the men or the guards fell down, like when the stone rolled away. She saw them in the tomb and she just was like, "What'd you do with my Lord? Tell me where he is and I'll go get him." And then she turns around and Jesus is there and she's crying and can't even make out who he is hardly. Because I think she was so afraid of being away from him, and she needed desperately to find him. And I could connect with that because fear is something I can totally relate to. I think we all can. We grow up with at least some kind of it. We have it throughout our life because we can't control everything. And when you can't control something, you're afraid.
Yeah.
Or you worry, or, at least at some level, anxiety is really high in our culture right now. And that's the same thing as being afraid, right? You want control. When you lose control of a situation or anything in your life, you either trust the Lord or you fear and you worry. And I've had way too much experience with the latter and learning more and more to trust the Lord with what I can't control, because I can't control it anyway. But Mary had to learn that.
Yeah.
So I related to her.
Right. I love that. And Demi says she was drawn to Mary through her emotional struggles and feeling like she was an outcast, even among the disciples. That's so good. I listened to a sermon where the pastor said, sometimes we can't see Jesus through our tears. Love that. That's really beautiful.
Yeah, I like that too.
I imagine a lot of us did relate to Mary because you were portraying her deeply enough that all of us could feel her pain and could feel her changing, dependence upon the Lord. But I also related to her husband, maybe for the same reason, because I think you inhabited him while you were writing him. I can't remember his name.
The one that died?
Yeah.
What did I name him?
Sorry, I asked that.
Oh, I'm sorry, but I've got a new character.
Call him Hank.
Character with the same beginning letter, I think. So
Well, here's what I think about Hank is he married her because he loved her. He wanted to care for her. It was also commendable. And I felt for him then as she, was living out her demon possessed craziness, and he didn't know what to think, and he wanted to help her. And the poor guy, it was doomed.
Yeah.
But I really like the way you portrayed him because, he was like, he was caring, he was trying, but then there was just the times he's like, whatever, I can't deal with this. And you had to be sympathetic to the poor guy because she put him through a lot.
Yeah. He had his faults too. I guess I didn't relate as well to him because I didn't see him as really being a believer. Not that his father was Greek and he wasn't as devoted to the Jewish faith at the time. And So I think I'd related in the male sense, besides the disciples and Jesus, which I'd never put myself in Jesus' head, but so I don't do point of view from him. But the one character, Clopas, Clopas and his wife Mary, I think I related to his faith, and I tried to portray him as making Mary uncomfortable, but also, him and the man who was actually, they had two men in Acts that took, one of them was, I think Matthias was chosen, but now I can't remember the other guy's name.
His name Joseph. I thought his name was
Joseph Justice. Yeah, I called him that because I wanted to distinguish, but that's what he was called. And they didn't pick him, but they were followers of Christ the whole time. That's why they were in the running for replacing Judas. So that's why I made the connection of Mary to him. And I liked his character.
Yeah.
Awesome.
He had some good characters. That's one of the real big pluses of the book is the characters all draw you in. You feel a little bit for each of them, you understand them, and they're not just cardboard. They have they're not cardboard.
But that's good because that's hard,
Yeah.
You don't want to repeat yourself. Or I remember reading a series years ago by someone, I'll not say who, or even with the genre, but the characters were all similar. If you read them right together, you would notice. If you read them a year apart when they came out, you wouldn't. And that's the biggest fear we have, right? That we're going to make our characters too similar. And even, we aren't all going to be drinking coffee or watching the same TV show or whatever with modern day characters, but our characters are all dressing the same because that's what they do. And if they're in that culture, they're all going to have similar features and, because not their whole face, but like coloring, it's different for Middle Eastern than it is for, European
culture. Yeah.
So you tend to end up having trouble with deep descriptions, at least I do. I'm terrible at that, but I like to let the reader imagine what they look like.
There you go. I like it. Yeah. Well, let's wrap this up. We want to make sure you are getting your time in to the comments, so you are eligible for winning a paperback of Dawn of Grace. And Jill, would you be able to do a quick reading for us, or?
Sure. I got to get the book though.
Oh, sorry.
I didn't know we were doing that. Hold on.
Well, while she's getting the book, if anybody has any last questions. Yes, it was Marcus.
Marcus, Beverly for the win on that.
Good job.
Excuse me, I'll be right back. It's not in the office.
All righty. Any last questions that you want to throw out there?
Well, we're glad that you're tuning in. If you're playing this on the replay, be sure that you're getting in some questions, some comments, engagement, so you're entered in for the drawing. There will be paperback books if you've not read it yet. If you have read it yet, you can gift it to someone who you know would love it.
So what do you want me to read?
Dana, do you have a scene that you can think of? Or?
Well, Jill, pick a scene. But I actually love some of the resurrection scenes, but maybe you don't want to do a spoiler.
Well, everybody knows the dead, so I just going to be a minute. I don't have.
Open up to any first chapter, because just about any of the first part of any chapter is going to be great. Your chapters are all wonderful.
Thank you. How much do you want me to read?
2 minutes.
2 minutes, okay.
No, you can go on as long as you want.
Okay, let's start with chapter 38 then. Okay, I'll read until the scene break.
Okay.
The sun angled farther west, and most of the people who had stood watching Jesus left after the earth quaked and he died. I stood unmoving, for I was too numb to do anything but stand and stare at the one who had delivered me from evil. Now evil had conquered him, and I did not know what to do. An hour passed. The only noise came from the guards and the two thieves still suffering on their crosses. The women with me slowly walked away. Susanna touched my arm. Come on, Mary. There's nothing more we can do. I need to find Tobias. By her look, I knew he didn't want to leave me. She didn't want to leave me. I didn't want her to go, but I couldn't leave him. I'll come later, I promised, though I wasn't sure I would ever be able to leave this place. Would someone come and bury him? Or would he be thrown into a pit or left to rot with other crucified bodies? I'll stay with you, Mary Clopas said, taking my hand. Susanna looked at me torn. I need to find Tobias, she said again. I nodded. I'll be fine. The others have already left. We will wait and tell you where they lay him. She hurried off, glancing back at me once, then disappeared over the hill. I will also stay, Salome said. I looked at her, surprised. John left with Jesus' mother. Why would I stay? I asked. Why would you stay? I asked, sorry. Salome lifted her eyes to Jesus' body. I want to help bury him. John thinks a few of the wealthy leaders were secret followers of Jesus. I want to see if they will honor him now. Which leaders? I asked. I didn't think any of them cared for him. Salome shrugged. Some time ago, one of the Pharisees came to meet Jesus at night. Nicodemus, I think. There is another, but we will have to wait to see if John is right. I nodded. Then we will wait. We didn't wait long. Salome's words proved true when Joseph of Arimathea and Nicodemus appeared with a linen cloth, and with the help of the soldiers they took Jesus' body down from the cross. First, though, the soldiers broke the legs of the other two men to hasten their deaths, and then pierced Jesus' side. Could they do him any more harm? They had to pierce him too? My anger flared, but relief followed as I watched the two followers tenderly anoint Jesus' bloodied, broken body with myrrh and aloes, then wrap it in pure white linen. The heady scents of the spices nearly overpowered me with their sheer amount. Clearly these men wanted to honor our Lord, and by all accounts they had done more than enough, but my heart still ached with each wafted scent of the spices. And though some would think my desire foolish, I knew I must do more. Double the amount of myrrh, triple the amount of aloes. I would spend every shekel I had to honor him. Yet one glance at the setting sun told me there was nothing to do about it now. The two men hurriedly carried Jesus' body on a bier to the garden, not far from Golgotha. Mary Clopas, Salome, and I followed. If the men noticed us, they didn't seem to mind. In the garden, a new tomb stood open as if waiting for Jesus. The men carried him inside, laid him on a stone bench, and rolled a large stone in front of the entrance. We sat opposite the tomb, the finality of it all hitting me hard. He was really gone. His life had ended too soon, his talk of a coming kingdom lost. We should get home before the sun fully sets, or we will violate Shabbat, Mary Clopas said. We need to return to Bethany. We don't have anywhere else to stay. The others are probably already waiting there, Salome said. At least we know where they laid him. We will come after Shabbat and redo the wrappings with more spices. I will spend every last coin to make sure his burial is what he deserves, I said, stiffening my jaw, clenching. Even if no one else cares, I do. I will come with you, Mary Clopas said. Now come. She tugged my arm, and I glanced at the sun and realized we would have to run most of the way to make it home in time. Home? Bethany wasn't home. Magdalene wasn't home either, nor was Capernaum. Home had been where Jesus was, and he was no more.
That's so sad. But we know the morning's coming.
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
Yes, that was beautiful. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Well, awesome. We will wrap this up. We do really appreciate you coming on with us. If you are joining us for the replay, make sure you're getting your comments in. We want to make sure that you are in the running for the drawing, plural. There's more than one. Carlene, glad you're here. Thank you, Demi, for showing up. Beverly, coming in and commenting. And be sure that you're following Jill on her newsletter so you get first reveal of her new book. And yeah, make sure you give lots of comments, give Jill lots of love. And then I know you've been reading Dawn of Grace this week with Charity, discussing it with Charity, and we are so glad that this all worked out. So thank you so much, Jill, for coming on, and we wish you the very best. And we're so glad that you are writing so many biblical fiction books, and we're so in love with all of your books. So
thank you so much. Thank you for having me. It's been really nice.
All right, we will see you all around online. Thanks so much for tuning in.
Bye-bye.
Bye.